Hello once again. Well, in the August edition of Australian Property Investor magazine, Shannon Malloy has written an article revealing 152 bulletproof suburbs. So what makes a bulletproof suburb? Residex founder and consultant John Edwards says that there are a number of qualities that might contribute to an area earning this reputation. He joins us. Hello, John, and welcome. Nice to be talking to you again.
Nice to talk to you all.
John, how would you characterise a bulletproof suburb?
Well, a bulletproof suburb for me is a suburb that carries low levels of risk in terms of its capital performance and higher rental returns or yields that are available generally in the market. I'm looking for a suburb that has a very low likelihood of falling in value over the next, say, decade, and at the same time has a greater propensity to have a growth rate in rental yields over that same period.
Are these likely to be, or more likely to be, in metropolitan areas or regional areas?
Not necessarily. It's the population and the economics that drive these suburbs. A suburb that has got, say, more than 10,000 people or more than 3,000 dwellings is more likely to fit into the list than a suburb that has fewer dwellings and people in it than this. And then a capital city does have a greater propensity, or suburbs in the city have a greater propensity to be in the list. And the reason is that those suburbs have greater economic diversity to them. In other words, there are more things that are driving job creation, and unemployment becomes less an issue as we move through time.
John, apart from those, are there any other common themes on that list?
Oh, the historical. I mean, you normally find that an area reverts to its long-term growth rate, and all of these suburbs that are in that list have a historical long-term positive rate of growth, and so that sort of indicates those things that we've just been speaking of are not just sort of flash-in-the-pan incidents. They are things that are naturally occurring within that socioeconomic group or that community that is represented in that suburb.
The name bulletproof sort of indicates that it's a really sound investment. Do you think that these are, or that they do make a wise investment?
Well, I think in investment terms, what one is always looking for is an investment that matches your risk profile. Now, these bulletproof suburbs are suburbs that probably aren't going to have the highest rates of growth as we move forward, or the best rates of return, but they will have a greater propensity not to fall in value or have very low rates of growth over time. All of these suburbs that we're speaking of here are suburbs that actually, even through the GFC, grew in value.
John, you've been looking at bulletproof suburbs now for quite a number of years. Have you found that they change a lot? And if so, how long do they stay in that list?
Well, it's about 25 plus years that I've been looking at them. The bottom line is that if you look at the long-term historical growth rates and you look at the population and the employment opportunities or the economic drivers of a community, and if all of those things sort of match your criteria in terms of having enough people there, having enough economic drivers. Now, we're talking about suburbs that just don't have one industry or two industries. We're talking about suburbs that are driven by probably half a dozen or more industries. And it's unlikely that they would fall from grace. You will have some new ones coming up and coming into the group, but it's unlikely that the ones that are there would actually fall away. But as I said a moment ago, that doesn't mean to say that you ought to be investing in them. It depends on your risk profile. I mean, are you prepared to accept lower level of returns for a lot better levels of risk? I mean, it's like buying Commonwealth government bonds versus investing your money in one of the major trading banks or investing it in a building society.
John, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. It's great talking to you again.
My pleasure.